you. Okay, oh, I guess I should put this back up here, I think. All right, I'm going to get started on this. Yeah, and, oh, okay, and before I get started, I do have a sign-up sheet over there if you want to be on my mailing list. And I'll send you emails about the workshops. I'm starting 4 sessions beginning December 11th, but I only have room for about 10 people. It's in the space where I work. I live and I work in what was formerly a convent, which is an interesting kind of energy. The space that I do the readings in and work in was formerly the chapel for it. So there's a lot of, like, a couple hundred years, no, only 100 years of prayer. It was built in 1903, and we moved in and restored it in 2000. So I have this really nice space, but there's only room for about 10 people, and I'm going to do 4 sessions on getting in touch with your own channeling, your own inner guidance, your own spirit guides, and then I do channeling for the group. It's 2 hours, 2 Sundays in December and then 2 in January. So you can talk to Jamie back at the table, and she can tell you tell you more, and give me your email address. And if there's no more CDs left, I did bring some of a meditation that I recorded. You can order them and we'll send them to you. So I'm gonna, I guess, sit right here. Oh, should I move this over here? Oops. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's Queen Village. It's not far from Penn's Landing. 2nd and Christian. It's about 5 blocks south of South Street. So it's easy to get to. You just, right off of 95, it's only a few blocks. Okay. I'll kick off my shoes. I guess we will just let the guides take up with where we left off with our discussion. Anybody has anything they'd like to say before I go into trance? Did you? Yeah.
I did want to say something about expectations or having to do something. I had a couple experiences in my life where I entered blank, and there's a thing, somebody told me it's beginner's mind. And when you approach a task, instead of having loaded with expectations, if you clear that, you may be very surprised at the genius
Absolutely.
that comes out of you.
Absolutely. Good evening. It is with great joy and pleasure that we welcome you, that we greet you, each of you, from the perspective of God as you. We are pleased to be present, a blending of many energies of different teachers, guides, loving beings who mean you well, who have actually been traveling with many of you. You may not have recognized us, but through the thoughts and intuitions that have guided you to actually be here tonight. So it's not an accident that you are where you are, that you are here tonight, and we bless each and every one of you as we begin to expand upon some of the thoughts presented to you as you move along in this earthly journey, in this play. Think of it as play. Think of it, yes, absolutely as play. A play of words, a play with many acts, a play where you are the director and you're starring yourself and you're writing the play as you go, and let it be absolute playfulness. Let it be a play. And some of you might say, now what? Perhaps maybe you might even be thinking, this play, can I change it in the last act? Absolutely, at any time you are the director. You put yourself in the starring role, and you can have anyone you wish in your play. It is your own creation, your own play. And we wish to tell you to notice the play on words. Notice playfulness in your own world, and allow yourself to be as playful as you possibly can. It's possible that you could play your way through this life, and then you say, then what? How could I play? Will I get anything done? Will I have any purpose? Will I actually contribute anything if I'm just playing? And yet, that is absolutely what you are doing without even realizing it. You are in a play of your own making. You have given yourself the storyline, and you can cling to that story as though that is how you define yourself, or you can choose to create a different story. Make up a new perspective on it and begin this moment to believe in the play of life. And the more that you can play, the more you will realize your dreams in ways you can never imagine. Imagine yourself saying in some future probable reality, in that future probable reality, that self has resolved the issue you bring with you tonight, the issue that you have with you now. Imagine there is a future probable self that has resolved that. And imagine that self with a smile saying, I could never have imagined in my wildest dreams how wonderful this turned out. And imagine, and you don't know the form that solution took, but you do know there is always a creative solution, and that there is infinite probabilities, so that you do have a future probable self that has resolved whatever it is that you believe holds you back now, that you believe limits you, that future probable self has resolved that issue. And imagine that self as your inner guide. Imagine creating a connection with that future probable self and allowing that self to give you the how of your journey. So you don't know how to heal yourself. Again, be it physical or emotional. You don't know how. And there's power in that truth. There's power in that realization that you don't know how. And as you realize that, you can go the limits of your imagination, and it's always wise to do so, and then realize that you simply, truly don't know how, because you have no idea today what the intersection of time and space, for example, 2 weeks from now in your earthly time, will look like. You can't possibly know that, because in between, by the way, there are infinite choices to be made, infinite decisions. You can't possibly know all of it. And yet it is contained in what you call your universe. It is all contained there. All probabilities, all directions, and time is indeed a circle, with the center being everywhere. And the circumference of that circle is infinite. And that you cannot know from where you stand using your everyday mind. That doesn't mean you discard it, you run from it, but that you realize there's tremendous power as you continue to, yes, let go of having to know how to do it, because you don't know how. And you may never know how. How is the journey, the process. You do know, though, every one of you, you do know what you want, be that peace, health, abundance, joy. Imagine if you had all of these qualities that I just mentioned, if your life was filled with everything I mentioned all the time. Give yourself a minute or two to imagine, what does that feel like? And imagine it, and pretend that it might be possible. That's all you need to do, by the way, is just say, perhaps there's a possibility. We're not asking you to believe absolutely, totally. No, that might not be possible at this moment point, but you can say to yourself, perhaps it is possible. There's a possibility that I can experience healing, that I can experience what I want. And you can begin to imagine what that feels like. What that feels like. And you can begin to choose, moment to moment, the thought that, yes, the thought that feels better. And you might say, isn't that just making it up? Of course, absolutely. Is that cheating? Perhaps, depending on the perspective, is it cheating not to work so hard at it all? Yes, perhaps one of those other beliefs that you've carried with you, that you don't want to take shortcuts. You might not value what you haven't worked for. You might need to look deeply into yourself, or a little deeper, to see if you're not clinging to that idea, that notion that you must continue to work hard. Nothing comes easy in your world. Is that right? Many of you believe that. Nothing comes easy, and nothing of value comes easy. So it won't. It won't. If you think it doesn't, it surely won't. But if you can say, perhaps it's possible there's an easier route, and then you might be filled with a little bit of guilt, a little bit of fear of having it too easy. And then, is it valuable? Does it count if it happens too easy? Does it count? Did I cheat somehow by making it too easy? And then, of course, what is simple is not trusted in your world at times. What you call someone that's simple, you see, it's not valued in your world. You might even look down upon the simple person as opposed to the complex intellectual self that you all are, absolutely. But you might benefit from imagining that it could possibly be easier, be simpler, and that there is a way to absolutely experience what you want. Just as in the lecture, consider what you want in terms of the quality of life rather than the particular form. Although there's nothing absolutely wrong with wanting something, you live in this earth. It is meant for you to appreciate it, to love it, to care for it, and to desire what is part of your earthly experience, but to remind yourself that it represents a certain quality. And it has a certain quality. Everything on your earth plane has a certain quality and vibrates with a certain energy. And your energy draws to you that which vibrates at the same wavelength, or the same consistency, same pattern of energy. Cannot even explain it in words, but nonetheless, you get what we're saying. It can be easier. It can be more direct. But you'll need to play with that and not insist that you change your belief this instant. It is possible, but you might not want to. You might want to just consider it's possible, perhaps, and that can be the catalyst for new energy, for different energies. I should say not new, just different. Different than what you would normally experience, but nothing's new. Nothing is new. It just changes shape and form. Absolutely nothing is new. Violence is not new on your planet. By the way, violence is going down. You may not think it. You'll be convinced that things are worse today than ever. But we've been around for eons, and we've seen a lot. And we're going to say to you something that might surprise you, that violence is not what it used to be. You might not agree with that, and yet, as we said, we've been around a long time. And things are getting better. You might be surprised at that too. But yes, the world is absolutely as it should be. It is perfect in all of its manifestations, in all of its changes, in everything that is happening. Even though you might not like it, you might see what you don't want, absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And as you see what you don't want, then you can begin to shift into what you want, using that as a platform to imagine what you want, always bringing it back to quality of life, not form. Form appears as you focus on the quality of life you desire. And then you'll see the universe creating the miracles you never could have imagined. And your everyday self, from that future probable self, is saying, as we said before, I never could have imagined how beautiful, how magnificent this is. How beautiful, how wonderful this is. And that self can guide you. That self can be sending you back the directions. Don't worry. Even detours take you where you want to go. It's all part of the journey. So we just said, even the detours, they'll get you there. It doesn't matter. It only matters to you how long it takes. It won't matter one day when you look back and you'll see how absolutely perfect it all was, how it all fit together, how the whole mosaic makes sense when it didn't at various points, when you couldn't see around the corner, when you were lost in that detour, when you thought you were lost, and yet on that detour you met some magnificent people that you wouldn't have otherwise, had you stayed on the road you thought you should have stayed on. No, you took the detour, or you took the long route, but you met some very significant people, and you had some significant encounters that changed your mind drastically, and thus your whole reality shifted. Now, be aware of the connections you make with that future self, that future probable self. And you just need to imagine that self is an inner guide and wishes you the best, wishes for you to be, yes, it's very simple, to be happy, to be at peace, to have what you want, to experience infinite, unconditional love. In this moment, that is all there is, moving through all that is. Despite the choices that individuals make, there is always the power of infinite, unconditional love moving through the universe. Thus, of course, moving through your planet, moving through your entire being, directing you to make the choice that brings you ultimately to where you want to be. Many of you have been focused on what you don't want very strongly, what you don't want. And sometimes to spar or to do battle with what you don't want could be fun. You might enjoy it. And so you might consider that you do enjoy the drama. You might enjoy to a certain degree the dramas that you've created in your life. And acknowledging that brings about a certain awareness of power and choice. I have a choice. And the truth might be that I actually enjoy this drama, and so that's good. And so go with that and enjoy it. And be at peace with it, you see? But when you're struggling with it, when you're angry with it, when you're disheartened, when you're unhappy with what you see, you might have to, if you so desire, switch your focus. And you might think that's difficult. It requires a willingness, yes, to commit to something different, to open to change, to go, yes, where you're not always completely comfortable at first, but it will bring you what you desire, what you want most of all. And it's so important to ask yourself what you want, not what you don't want. You might say, I don't want that mountain of bills I see every single month. What do you mean? I see it. It's in front of me. It is my reality. And you might need to, yes, train yourself to pay what you can pay, put them aside, and refocus all of your energy and thoughts on the moment at hand and the beauty of where you are, not where you're not the mountain of debt, but the feeling, what if there truly is a future probable self who has resolved this issue? That self is abundant. That self has found a creative solution. It does exist in a probable reality that is as real as the reality you accept as inevitable. It will always and forever be, because you probably only see a particular source of income, or you must live within your means. Who decided that? Who told you what your means is? Your salary is your means? All right, that will be your means then. But that's not your means. Your means is that which is called God. And when you begin to say that, God is my means, all of a sudden things begin to shift and change. Who determined what your means are? Your means are what God is. God is your means. When you begin to shift into that thinking, into there is a creative solution. I don't know what it is. Or you might have a myriad of health problems that seem overwhelming. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. This seems so solidly real. But perhaps you can begin by saying, perhaps there's a possibility that there is a creative solution in some probable reality, which is, as I said, as real as the one you're living right now. A future probable self, you, have resolved the issue. The present you doesn't know how. It doesn't know what form could possibly resolve this overwhelmingly, quote, real issue. But if you will just say to yourself, I'm open to being shown the way to a creative solution, there it is. That's all you need. You don't believe that that mountain of bills can ever go away. And you can be with that for this moment, but take another moment and we'll repeat this again for you, maybe even slowly, and you will get it. I am open to being shown the way to, well, I'm going to say here, creative solution. You may have your mountain of bills or your myriad of serious health concerns. Are these guides seriously thinking that this would go away? We're saying there's a possibility. There's a creative solution in the universe, not in your everyday mind right now. Oh, but if you will begin to consider the possibility, your everyday mind is going to see what it didn't see before. And that face we described to you, the you that's saying, in my wildest dreams, how did this ever happen to me? I can't believe this. Look at this world. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. And you say that to yourself before you go to sleep, and it's absolutely real. You have infinite probable yous. It's a little overwhelming. You can't understand it with that mind. And that's absolutely fine. If you begin to accept that and just open to the idea that it might shift and change, that's a catalyst. It's a tremendous amount of energy that's just brought into your world. And yes, you might have to go back to paying those bills, to dealing in this reality with the issue. And yet, something might shift. You may even feel free despite it. You might even be happy and wonder why and think, am I fooling myself? I'm feeling all right about this. It's not so horrible. Something is shifting and changing. And suddenly you're experiencing beautiful, lovely, generous people around you, loving you, supporting you, opening to you, helping you. It's quite amazing. It begins with entertaining the idea of, yes, it's possible. It's possible. I don't see it now. I don't know if I can believe it. I don't know how. I haven't figured it out yet. I certainly don't deserve to move to the next grade. If I haven't passed this test, if I haven't figured it out yet, which I haven't, and you're not going to because it's not possible. It's not really a school. They tell you that. Some teachers help you. It does help you a bit. But it's not a school as you would normally think of it. And sometimes that's, for some of you, that might not be the best analogy to make, that the earthly plane is a school, because then you are struggling to make the grade, to pass, to do well, see what exam is ahead. And then you're only paying attention so you can pass the test. You only want to know what's on the test so you can pass and move on. That's not what it's about. Life is truly about experiencing limitless and infinite unconditional love. Absolutely, totally feeling it, getting it, allowing it. And we're going to be bringing that into this room, into the hearts of those who are ready to allow for the possibility. It's there all the time, always. And so that is our gift to you this evening. And go into your life